Hello students, welcome to the chemistry class. So today we will study about an atom. So before going to study an atom, so we will go through the periodic table which is displayed. So in this periodic table, there is the presence of four different blocks. In those blocks, there exist different elements. The first two groups can be taken as S block elements. Last six groups can be taken as the P block elements. In between S and P, there is a presence of D block elements. At the last, there were two rows. Those are called the F block elements. Okay. So, next, what is an atom? What is an atom? Okay. So, in any element, in every element, there is a presence of very minute particles, very tiny particles, very small particles called atoms. Atoms are the tiny particles present in any element. So, what are atoms? Atoms are the smaller particles, are the tiny particles present in any element. So, do you know the structure of an atom? And have you observed the atom? Any kind of atom? No, it is a microscopic particle. So, we cannot observe the particle with our naked eye. We cannot see the particle with our naked eye. It is a very, very minute particle. It is a microscopic particle. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ ಆಟಮ್ ನಮಗೆ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ತುಂಬ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲ್ಟನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ದ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಎ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 0.3 millimeter. So the size of the small crystal of salt, it is having very, very small in size. That too, so the atom is having a size which is very, very less compared to the size of the crystal of salt. And then if we go through the bacteria, so that is also one of the microscopic particle. So that particle is having the size varies between 1 to 10 micrometer. That means micro means 10 power minus 6 meter. So very, very small size particle present in the bacteria. So if we compare the size of an atom with the size of the bacteria, atomic size is very, very less compared to the size of bacteria. Next, if we go through the size of a virus, that virus is in the size of nanometers, that varies between 20 and 300. The size of virus varies from 20 to 300 nanometers, but this also is having a larger size compared to an atom. Next, coming to the DNA. So DNA is also having a size of 2 nanometers. Nano means 10 power minus 9 meter. So that DNA is also having a larger size than the atom. You just imagine what's the size of an atom. Very, 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 very tiny particle or a very, very, very smaller particle present in any element. Okay. So if we consider one of the element like gold. Gold is also one of the element present in the periodic table. So in this gold, there is a presence of very, 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 very smaller particles called the gold particles, gold atoms. So like this. Okay. So these are the particles or the atoms present in the gold. So these are arranged in a orderly manner, and these gold particles are nothing but the atoms present in the gold metal. Okay. So and in that atom, so if we go through the inner structure of an atom containing three important the particles. So which are those the particles present in the atom? Protons, electrons and neutrons. So these are nothing but the three fundamental particles present inside an atom. So in that atom, at the center of an atom, there is a presence of nucleus. So in that nucleus, there is an existence of both protons and neutrons. So in this nucleus, so the blue colored particles can be taken as the protons, and the red colored particles can be taken as the neutrons. Protons are having a positive charge and the neutrons are having the negative charge. In an atom, there is the presence of nucleus at the center of an atom that containing both protons and neutrons. Okay. Then what about the electrons? Electrons are nothing but another third type of the fundamental particle present in any element. That electron revolves around the nucleus like this. In the orbit, circular orbit, there is a movement of electrons around the nucleus. So coming to the charge of the particles, protons are having positive charge. So there is a presence of the red particles and also the green particles at the center. Green particles are nothing but the neutrons having no charge, and the red particles present at the center are called the protons having positive charge. In the circular path, there is a presence of yellow colored particles, two yellow colored particles which are nothing but the electrons. Electrons are having negative charge and protons are having positive charge. In any element, so if the element is neutral, when the element is neutral and ansadre, in that element there is a presence of same number of protons and also electrons. In any element, since all the elements are neutral in nature, number of protons are always equal to the number of electrons. Now, we will take the structure of a hydrogen atom. Okay, so what is the atomic number of hydrogen? It is 1. We are going to take that 1 as the atomic number, which is nothing but the number of electrons. So if we write the electronic configuration 1s1, that means only one electron is there. That electron revolves around the nucleus in the circular orbits. So at the center there is a presence of both protons and neutrons belongs to the hydrogen, and in this hydrogen there is no existence of neutrons, and the number of protons is equal to 1 and the number of electrons is equal to 1, and there is no existence of neutrons in case of hydrogen. Okay, so in case of helium there is a presence of protons, neutrons and also electrons. In helium, 2 protons are there which is equal to that of the number of electrons. 2 electrons are there. In addition to that, there is an existence of 2 more neutrons. So 2 neutrons and 2 protons exist inside the nucleus, whereas the 2 electrons revolve around the nucleus. Since there is a presence of 2 electrons in the first orbit belongs to the helium, this helium is stable in nature. That means the first orbit should contain only 2 electrons. Completely there is an existence of 2 electrons in the first orbit. Then only the element is stable in nature. In case of hydrogen, there is an existence of only 1 electron. Because of that reason, it is unstable in nature. Because of instability, it is more reactive in nature. So in case of helium, there is a presence of 2 electrons. Because of the existence of 2 electrons in the first orbit, that helium is more stable in nature and less reactive in nature. Next, coming to the next element, it is called carbon. So carbon is having atomic number 6. That means there is a presence of 6 protons and also 6 neutrons and also 6 electrons. That means the atomic number is 6 and also mass number is 12. So there is a presence of what is the value of atomic number of this carbon that represents the number of protons or also the number of electrons. That means 6 protons and 6 electrons are there. Since the mass number is 12, 12 minus 6 is equal to 6 can be taken as number of neutrons. So in this case, carbon, there is a presence of only 6 number of electrons. That means in the first orbit there is a presence of 2 electrons. That means first orbit is completely filled. Coming to the second orbit, there is a presence of 4 electrons. Totally the number of electrons found to be 6. So in the second orbit, second orbit is having a capacity to fill a maximum of 8 electrons. So because of presence of only 4 electrons, which is less compared to the 8 electrons, this carbon is more reactive in nature, and that is unstable in nature. Next, coming to the oxygen. Oxygen containing atomic number 8, that means 8 electrons are there. So if we write the electronic configuration, or if we fill the electrons in different orbits, in the first orbit there is a presence of 2 electrons. In the second orbit, there is a presence of totally 6 electrons. So if we add all those 6 plus 2 electrons, there is a presence of 8 electrons totally in the oxygen atom. So in the last orbit, there is a presence of only 6 electrons, and that second orbit is having a capacity to fill totally of 8 electrons. That means even oxygen is also more reactive in nature. ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ತುಂಬ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಔಟ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ನಮಗೆ 8 ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ಅದು ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಲೆಸ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ 6 electrons. Because of that reason, oxygen is more reactive in nature. Next, coming to the neon. Neon is having the atomic number 10. That means atomic number 10 means there is a presence of 10 electrons. So in the first orbit we can fill 2 electrons and 8 more electrons are there. So those 8 electrons, the outermost electrons are present in the outermost shell or outermost orbit. That means the second orbit contains 8 electrons. So here in neon, due to the existence of 8 electrons, that neon is more stable in nature. That means because the presence of 8 electrons, that neon element attains octet configuration. It is following, it is satisfying the octet rule. Octet rule means the presence of 8 electrons in the outermost shell, so that element is more stable in nature. So in any element, atoms are there, and those atoms containing 3 fundamental particles called protons, electrons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons exist inside the nucleus, and the electrons revolves around the nucleus in different orbits like this. That means in the first orbit there is a chance of maximum of filling of only 2 electrons. In the second orbit there is a chance of presence of maximum filling up of 8 electrons, like that. So like this. So many electrons we can fill in different orbits like this. Okay. So and those orbits around the nucleus, they will be moving in a circular manner like this. So at the center there is a presence of the nucleus containing protons and neutrons. So surrounding the nucleus, the electrons are present in different orbits, and all those electrons, they will not retain in a stable position. They will be moving from one place to another place in a circular path around the nucleus like this. Okay. So this ends the concept.